Ever since machines were added, they remain as one of the coolest playstyles in Stellaris. You can assimilate the galaxy, exterminate all living beings, or ascend and reject the weakness of the flesh. However, machines and synths haven't received new mechanics for quite some time, and that's why today we're gonna talk about Machine and Robot Expansion by XVCV, a mod which adds a ton of new features for machines and synths, which should make them a lot more interesting and fun to play with. So without further ado, let's see what this mod has to offer. One of the cooler features from this mod is the ability to transform a machine empire into a regular one. This can be done with the Mind Separation Ascension perk, which can be picked if you have these two technologies. After that, all you need to do is complete a special project, which removes the Machine Intelligence Authority and Gestalt Ethic, changing your empire into a robot species. Then you may choose your ethics with a new event, and when you're done you can add Civics and change your government type just like in vanilla. You can take this feature even further, and later become a biological species with the Biomechanical Hybrids Ascension perk that is available to both machines and synths. Depending on what kind of empire you are, you will have to meet different requirements, and if you do so, you'll need to research a special project which gives you two approaches at creating hybrid pops. You can keep your original species and get a single biomechanical pop on all of your colonies, or instead replace your founder species with the hybrids. In both scenarios, a new modifier is added, which shows progress in cloning new pops. This process can also be sped up by placing biomechanical clone plants on your colony. Biomechanical hybrids have many benefits. They can be cloned and assembled at the same time. They can have mechanical and organic traits just like cyborgs, and you can change their appearance to any species portrait. Their resource upkeep can also be determined in the policies and edicts menu, and you may change to what degree they are dependent on food or energy. Alternatively, you can also become a machine empire if you completed the synthetic ascension path. Once you have these two technologies and you select the Mind Integration Ascension perk, you have to go through a similar process to become a machine empire, and later assign some machine civics like you normally would. Machines also get their own version of the Arcology project, except instead of an ecumenopolis, you can build a giant planet-wide computer. Once you have anti-gravity engineering and terrestrial sculpting, you can pick a new ascension perk that allows you to turn planets into world machines that have 3 variants. Auto forges are planet-sized automatic factories, with districts for alloy, consumer goods, strategic resource production, and naval capacity. Auto processors are meant mostly for research production. They have 3 districts dedicated to one research department, and a district which increases your infiltration level and speed. Auto servers can be used for many different things. They have a district for Unity production, encryption, empire-wide deviancy, and a district which increases your edict fund. Just like any ordinary computer, world machines need a cooling mechanism, and that's why they have the thermal throttling modifier. By default, the modifier does nothing, but if you build a district, their output decreases and their upkeep increases by 10%. If the modifier's value drops below 100, you have to build a cooling district which increases district output and lowers their upkeep. To further improve upon districts, you can research new repeatable technologies, which also unlock new orbital ring buildings that give you additional benefits, like housing on cooling districts. Also, if you ever run out of space, you can always build a district site for additional districts. Aside from that, this ascension perk also unlocks a new decision, which gets rid of unemployed pops and turns them into alloys. Just like you can assemble and alter your machines in the editor, you can now do the same with your leaders. To unlock those two features, you don't need any ascension perks. Instead, you need to research these two technologies. To assemble new leaders, you have to activate a new edict and use the assembly menu. At the bottom you can select leader's level all the way up to 10, but keep in mind that if you never had a level 10 leader, you won't be able to assemble one. The highest selectable level is relative to the level of your most experienced leader. At the top you have 4 windows, each representing a different leader type. Once you select a leader type, you can start adding new traits until you run out of points. Some features like the ability to create veteran class leaders and certain traits are unavailable if you don't have the Galactic Paragons DLC. When you're finished, simply press Start Assembly and your leader will appear in the Leaders tab, waiting patiently to be assigned. You can also modify your core intelligence leader, and the whole process is very similar. Simply visit the Government tab and launch an edict. If you hover your mouse over the circle, you will see who's your core intelligence leader and the amount of pickable traits and modification points. Each change in the menu will be reflected in the Empire tab, and once you're done, simply exit the modification window. To further modify or customize your leaders, you may research these specific techs, which add even more points. Machine and Robot Expansion also has ascension perks to improve different machine playstyles. Determined Exterminators can now trigger machine uprisings in any empire that has machine or robot pubs, using a new espionage operation. Rogue Servitors can unlock new buildings for their biotrophies. With them you may use your organic pops for research, strategic resource production, pop assembling, and more. These buildings can be later upgraded once you have idyllic architecture, making your biotrophies more useful than ever. Driven Assimilators get an ascension perk which gives them more modification points, and 2 techs for adding advanced mechanical and biological traits. There is also an ascension perk which allows you to add or remove any of these free civics. Once you have those technologies researched, you can pick the source code reprogramming ascension perk and then research this special project which starts a new event in which you can make the desired changes. In Stellaris, only psionics can access the Shroud, but this mod changes that. It adds an alternate dimension to the Shroud called the Abyss, available only for machine or synthetic empires. To access this new dimension you need the Interdimensional Exploration Ascension perk, a dimensional gateway built on one of your colonies, and then you have to complete a special project. Once the project is finished you will contact the Abyss, and you can do the same through the contacts menu after the cooldown modifier disappears. The Abyss hides many secrets, and many things can happen the more you communicate with it. You can unlock a new trait called Psionic Emulator, or you can acquire machine variants of psionic components, which use spiritual energy instead. There are also other events such as summoning a spiritual avatar, or using the Abyss to steal a fallen empire's technology. You can even contact a patron and form a pact with them just like a psionic empire. Now that we covered machine empires and other features, let's see what this mod offers explicitly to synthetics. Synthetic ascended empires now get their own variant of machine worlds. Mechanical worlds can be created after picking the Mechanical World Ascension perk and using a decision or simply terraforming a planet. You can also use a new decision to turn planets into virtual reality servers after picking this ascension perk. Virtual reality servers have districts for things like research, unity, trade value, and amenities. However, you can't build them right away. To unlock the districts, you have to build the Matter and Data Converter district, which allows you to transform sapient beings into information. This district also unlocks a decision, which turns pops into trade value deposits. With Machine and Robot Expansion you can now start as a robotic empire, aka an empire with synthetic ascension already completed. In the empire creation menu, you will see a new robotic species tab with all machine portraits, and by choosing it you will have access to non-gestalt ethics, authorities, etc. while having mechanical traits. Robotic empires get 2 origins, Synthetic Ascended and Mechanical Heritage, which in addition gives you a mechanical world as your starting planet. Both of these origins unlock the Synthetic Tradition tree, and a new ascension perk called the New Synthetic Age. This ascension perk gives you additional overclocked traits to modify your species that are a lot cheaper than their normal counterparts, with some offering even better bonuses. You also get an upgrade to the robot assembly plants and some other helpful bonuses. Aside from new ascension perks and technologies, this mod also adds new traits and civics to further customize your machine empires. For example, you can give your machines organic skin or a mineral based body. The Merchant Machine Civic adds a way to establish trade routes with other empires. Inside a new menu you can select one of the 3 possible trade routes that can be created. After that you have to complete a special project to make a merchant ship, and when it reaches the other empire's border, the trade route will be established. You can increase the total number of trade routes with these 2 technologies, and you also get a policy, which decides what resources you get from converting trade value. Other civics also worth mentioning are the Plant Cracker Civic, which adds a new decision that places orbital crackers above a planet's surface, or the Machine Learning Algorithm Civic, which makes you play as a machine learning algorithm. Initially you get debuffs to research production, but as you play the game and do all sorts of activities, the debuffs eventually turn into positive bonuses. This mod also adds a new tradition tree for synthetics and machines, a machine exclusive ascension perk which upgrades colony ships, and an ascension perk which adds new war goals to different kinds of machine empires. Machines also get an additional additional origin called After the Doomsday, in which your homeworld is a continental world, and you start with 2 additional colonies, with all planets being severely underdeveloped and having 8 pops each. If you found this video useful, consider subscribing for more mod-related content. We are very close to hitting 2000 subscribers, so hit that button if you want to support my channel. If you want to find out about other cool mods out there, check out this playlist over here. And if you want me to cover a specific mod or you noticed an inaccuracy, let me know down in the comments. I will see you in another video and goodbye.